No one is above the law.
Nobody's above the law.
No person is above the law.
No one 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 is above the law.
You're not above the law. You're not an elite. You're not untouchable. And so it's nice to see that the rule of law has returned.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law, not even the son of the President of the United States.
No one is above the law.
The fact is, no one is above the law.
The idea that no person is above the law is a bedrock principle of American justice.
No man is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one else is above the law, including a president.
Nobody is above the law.
That no one, not even the president, is above the law.
And that no one is above the law.
No one is above the law, and our president is not above the law.
No man is above the law, and no person is above the law.
No one is above the law.
That nor any other title puts you above the rule of law.
No one is above the law.
That is what it means to have a rule of law. That is what it means to not have a king.
They're not above the law. Nobody is above the law.
Well, that no one is above the law.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
The law is the law, and no one should be above it.
Yes, nobody is above the law.
Is that true? Nobody's above the law. Well, I guess that's true if you're conservative, a Republican, or don't believe in the Democratic Party. Why do I say that? Because it seems like the only ones they go after are Republicans. The only ones they go after are conservatives. The only ones they go after are the ones that disagree with what they have to say as a party. That's communism. They are communists. The Democratic Party, if you were, and I was back in the 80s, a Democrat, that party is long gone. You need to open your eyes, disassociate yourself. If you want to stay Democrat for some particular reason, which I can't imagine why, but if you wanted to stay a Democrat, so be it. But stop voting for those people to be in power, right? There are some states where it's a nonpartisan ballot, meaning both Democrats and Republicans are on the same ballot and the top two go. Stop voting for Democrats. Vote for Republicans. Maybe we can get a Republican and a Republican on a ticket instead of a Democrat and a Republican, or two Democrats on the ticket. All right? So they take advantage of whatever they can get away from. In fact, we'll let them talk about that in a couple minutes. But what we're really here to talk about today on The Truth is Simple, by the way, I'm Dave Corum, your host. If you didn't already know that, we're going to talk about the insurrection day. No, we're not talking about January 6th. We're talking last Friday when 4 Democrats decided to show up, 3 from Congress and 1 mayor from Newark decided to show up at an ICE detention facility in New Jersey and basically start a riot. They demanded entry. There's a proper way to do things. And in fact, I understand that same day, I think they actually went through anyway, still took them through. It still took them through the detention center. But that was all spontaneous stuff that they wanted to get out on the public, that they're going to use their mass propaganda media to bring it out, to get it on every news channel, including Fox and Newsmax. It's on all the channels. They know it's going to be there. But their propaganda channels, MSNBC, CNN, Communist News Network, the collusional news network, everything's collusion, right, with them and their party. That's who the Democrats are, folks. Al Green, do you know who Al Green is? He is the Democratic representative from somewhere in Texas. The guy is a lunatic. He's already filed 2, I believe it's 2 impeachment things to impeach Trump already. They don't even hold the House, but he's already incorporated bills to impeach Trump twice. I want you to listen to this lunatic guy. He is a lunatic. If you remember Trump's speech in Congress, I think it was in February, kind of like the State of the Nation address. I don't think they generally do that for a first term or the first year in the presidency. Maybe they do. I don't remember. But he went in and he had it. Maybe it was in March. Probably was in March. Al Green, he's the one that stood up and started making a ruckus during the speech. They actually had to have him removed from the chamber. The guy is a nut. If you're voting for this guy in Texas, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you? Come to your senses. Realize this guy does not care about you. It's all about his party. It's all about communism. It's all about control of you, your family, and the future of this country. It's about globalism. Somebody other than our elected governors, our elected politicians in this republic, not democracy, representing us, having control, letting some guy else somewhere in the world run shot over the United States, whether it's the World Health Organization or some other organization, the United Nations, whatever it might be. The Soros family, who are they? Let's go back. You need to know, do some homework and figure it out. Stop sitting on your you're on your phone all day long. Use it for something good. To train and educate yourself about what's stuff going on. So let's watch real quick Al Green. He's going to talk about impeaching Trump. And again, nobody's above the law. And what I'm going to use this for? I'm using this to build this up for these three Congress people from New Jersey that went to that detention center, and the Newark mayor, Ras Baraka, who was there as well. It was the only one that got arrested at the time. So anyway, with that said, let's watch Al Green real quick, and we're going to go from there. And I think I have him queued up.
His bigotry is worthy of his being impeached. But his obstruction of justice is what I think a good many people will focus on. That obstruction of justice is something we cannot allow to go unchecked. 800 plus former prosecutors, federal prosecutors, have indicated that this president has obstructed justice, and were he anyone else, he would be impeached. He would be prosecuted if he were anyone else. In this country, if you run a stop sign and the police are aware of it, then you're going to pay a price. If you speed, you're going to pay a price. If you're a welfare mother and you defraud the welfare state of its money, which is the government of the United States of America, in the sense of welfare, then you're going to have to pay for that. We all pay for our crimes. No one is above the law. If the Congress doesn't act, what we are saying is the president is above the law.
Right there. Welfare defrauds the United States. That's happening today. What do you think Doge is finding out there? Social Security and these other things, right? They are defrauding us. Who's going after that money other than Doge? I think they set up a Doge at the state level in Florida. I think every state should do that, especially the ones that are going broke, like California, maybe. Yeah. Hey, Governor Newsom, maybe you need to hire a Doge, somebody to go in and see where all that money is. Oh, you already know where it's going? Oh, it's going into your political coffers, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna research that. I'm not gonna stop that money from going out. I'm giving them $100 grand. They're sending me 10 grand back so I could get reelected or run for president. Right? That's how it works. How about this U.S. aid? Where do you think all that money was going? Do you think it was actually going to a lot of these countries, or was it going to what do they call them? NGO here in the United States, non-governmental agency or whatever they call them, organization, non-government that does all this good stuff around the world, right? Yeah, they'll send a little bit over there just to make sure that they have some accounting for it. And the rest of it's going through all these other loopholes back to these people running for office. Where does that $3 or $4 billion per candidate come from every year to run for office? Where does it all come from? Our tax money. They're giving it out. It's coming back so they can run for office. Wake up, America. It's happening right in front of your face and you don't care. You don't say anything. Let's go back to Al and then finish his little comment here about Trump and how nobody's above the law, right? Yeah, right. Here we go, Al.
Law, and it's okay to interfere with an investigation, which is critical to our investigative process to make sure people understand that you cannot do.
Did you see that? Democracy now. Check it out. It's a communist network, probably supported by George Soros. Yes, it is. Don't believe it. Stop. Okay. Just try to turn it off. All right. So there you have it, folks. He wants to impeach Trump again. That video was actually, I think, made not recently when Trump was in the office the first time. He's the same exact person. He hasn't changed at all. At all. And you guys keep voting this guy in. What is wrong with you in Texas? I thought Texas was a Republican state, but it's a battleground just like any state, except for California and New York and maybe New Jersey. It's kind of flipping a little bit, right? So let's go back to what we're actually talking today. We're talking about those 4 people. Ross Baraka, the mayor of Newark. Bonnie Watson-Coleman, I think she's a congresswoman from New Jersey. LaMonica McIver, also from New Jersey, I believe, congresswoman. Rob Menendez. Is that Bob Menendez's son? I think so. I'm sure it is, right? From New Jersey as well. He looks just like his dad, just 40 years younger. So let's look at this. And what happened at the jail? At that was it a jail? Yeah, it's kind of a jail. When you're locked up and you can't get out, it's a jail. But we're going to show you what these Congress people did. It was a stunt. It was a stunt to try to get you guys riled up out there. All you leftist people out there. It's trying to get you riled up so OAC can get on her little rant like she does, like Hakeem Jeffries, a representative. Where is he from? I'm not sure. I think it's New York. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So is AOC. How do these leftist Democrats in New York think they're just going to overshot run the whole country from a leftist state? Everybody's leaving, just like in California. Everybody's leaving, going somewhere else. I left California 8 years ago, not because of, because of the politics, but because it was so expensive over there. So I'm living now, here in Las Vegas. With that said, we're going to talk about, we talked about Green. Let's talk about Kristi Noem. I think she's what is she? She is the Homeland Security Secretary, right? So she's going to briefly give a quick snapshot of what happened. And, and I think you should just watch it. And we're going to flip through that. We're going to take a little tour through the jail, I think, here. Is it in this part? We're going to talk about Judge Hannah Dugan in Wisconsin in a couple minutes. So here we go. Let's look at this and check it out. So, bam.
Members of Congress slamming their bodies into our law enforcement officers, shoving them, screaming profanities in their faces, striking them with their fists, and otherwise assaulting law enforcement. The behavior was lawlessness, and it was beneath this body.
That's ongoing now. The DHS secretary there and the acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement both testifying before House lawmakers today. Kristi Noem and Todd Lyons are facing contentious questions from the Democratic lawmakers in the room, and the tensions are building over all about the clash between ICE agents and Democratic lawmakers in Newark, New Jersey last week. So that's a flashpoint today. Republican Congressman Buddy Carter has introduced a new resolution, and it would remove those 3 House Democrats from their committee posts over that behavior that you see on the screen right there. Wait, the lady in the lawmaker in the red jacket, she eventually body checks him and then has her hand above his shoulders. Anyway, Democrat lawmakers in both chambers are accusing the administration of obstructing oversight in that.
Where am I? There I am. So bam, there you go. Where were these Democrats at the time when Obama and Biden initially, before he closed all the detention centers and just let people all come in? If you remember in the Biden White House, when he first got there, they were locking up all these kids inside these little places down along the border, and everybody else locking them up down there for a short period of time. And then they all just disappeared. All the facilities are gone. They just said, we're not even going to put them in. Just let them go into the country and go wherever they want. We got buses there. If they want to go to New York, they could jump on that bus. If they want to go to Florida, they could go on that bus. California, Colorado, wherever, just put them on that bus, go into that state, and we'll send them there for free. We don't care. Just put them on a bus. We're not going to detain them. But initially, they had this detention center I'm pretty sure it was in Texas somewhere. I'm not exactly sure on the border where it was, but they had all these juveniles locked up because they were juveniles that were coming across on their own, supposedly. And later on, we found out that actually just last week I was watching a news story. They were recycling the kids because if they came across with a kid, they would just let you come into the country. They were recycling the kids. The kids would come into the States with somebody they did not know. They'd send the kids back, these human smugglers, send the kids back into Mexico and send them with another group of people and recycle them and send them back and do it again and again and again. That way, these people coming across the border, they never got stopped because they had a kid with them. But again, they're the same kids over and over and over again. Child smuggling, child abuse. These kids were being raped. They were being tortured. They were being killed in some cases. It's crazy what the Biden administration did. And where are these people, these Democrats at that time? Fentanyl coming across the border. 100,000 plus Americans dying every year from fentanyl. Where were the Democrats stopping this, saying something? Nowhere around. Nobody said anything, just letting it happen. How can that be? All of a sudden they're for these people. They're for because human rights. They're for making them all American citizens. Where were they before? These gang members roaming our country, killing our citizens, raping our children and our moms and our young women in the colleges and universities. Where are they? Where were they? Where was our vice president, who was the war czar? Where was she? Absent on duty. How many times did she go to the border? I think she finally went when she was running for president. If you saw that, they went down. She's standing right in front of the border fence talking to some agent. The whole place was nice and cleaned up. No illegals running across behind her or anything like that. It's all for show. Where was she when all these people are dying from fentanyl? Where was she when all these children are being smuggled back and forth across the border, being murdered and killed and raped and everything? Where was she? Where were these Democrats? Where was AOC? Where was Hakeem Jeffries? Where was Al Green? Where were they? And now they don't care about Americans. All they care about are these illegals. They think somehow that these people are going to be their rescue in some future election. They're supposed to be representing you, the citizens, not these illegal people. What is wrong with you guys voting these people into office? Do you think this country, anything's going to change? This whole civil war, which we're in right now, luckily there has not been any shots fired. This civil war that we're in is ever going to end unless you stand up and say, enough. Enough. We've had enough. We don't want you in office anymore. You know who they need to go after? People like George Soros and his family. They are the terrorists of America. They send money here and support all these socialist, communist organizations. They're the ones that are buying the votes to get all these people into political office. George Soros and his family and others like him. Do the Chinese do it? I'm sure they do. Money coming in. There was a research done, an investigation where people are donating money in small amounts all over the country to these political organizations, mostly the Democrat organizations, sending money over and over and over again in small amounts. They did an investigation, and a lot of these are fake, false. They go back or find these people, or these people are dead. Money going to these political campaigns. Go back and find these people that are alive. Did you send money there? I never sent any money to that political organization. Where are those monies coming from? You know, buy-offs. We just watched a short video of Biden's son pardoned by his dad right before he leaves office, right in the middle of his trial for fraud, stealing money or not paying his tax bill. Pardoned by his, was it a real signature or one of those fake electronic signatures? I don't know which it was. Is the electronic one good enough? Is that real? Can he do that? I don't know. That's something for probably the Supreme Court to figure out. But with that said, he's not held accountable. The money funneling to his brothers and sisters and cousins and so forth from China, from Ukraine. What about all that money? Why is there no investigation on any of that? Why was there no investigation? Why did they only go after the July 6th people in Washington, D.C.? Why didn't they go after Antifa, who's burning the country down, or Black Lives Matter, who's burning the country down, who later we found out the leaders of Black Lives Matter were stealing the money and taking it and buying mansions all over. Where is that? What is wrong with you people? You on the Democratic side. What is wrong? This evidence is there right in front of you. But because you hear over and over and over and over and over again from the propaganda news, CNN and MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, all those propagandic television stations and supposed news organizations, it's all a lie. It's not real. That's not this, that, and the other thing. Oh, no, that's okay. We can forgive them. Let's move on to something else more important. Like all the white supremacists who have done nothing in this country in the last 10 years that I can think of, really. It's all been the left. That's been the violent ones. That's attacking and burning and destroying police cars and defunding the police and all that stuff. But what is it with these 4 people that decided to go here to this New Jersey thing? It's all a political skit. That's all this is, a political skit. There is a right and a wrong way to do this stuff. They chose the wrong way because they didn't really want to do the right way because they knew there was not going to be a result in it. If you listen to Ras Baraka, they don't have any licensing. They don't have proper permitting. They're running these people in. There's kids in there, and they're separating the children, and it's all BS. They're trying to stir you up. It's all BS. It's not real. They're frauds and fakes. All of these people. Why do you vote for these people? They do not care about you. They do not care about you. None of you. And those that say something, or like the mayor of New York City, can't recall his name right off the bat. Him, for example. The Democrats are attacking him because he said, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to pay for all these people illegals coming into my city. I have no money left. What am I supposed to do with these people? And because he started to say that, they started to attack him and go after him. The Biden Justice Department, the Biden FBI. Those departments need to be purged of all those radical people that are in there. They need to be investigated and gone after, those radicals that were in there. See what they did that was illegal. So I'm looking at Kristi Noem here. Let's go to minute 446 on there. So I'm jumping there real quick, 446. And we're going to do a little walk through the jail. We actually had a Fox contributor. I think she was a Fox contributor. Where is she? Bam. Oh, bam. All right, we're going to look at this real quick. I thought it was a different section. But I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. Oh, it's wrong. Wrong video. All right, so we're going to jump to the next one. All right. Actually, we're going to jump to 613 and look at Judge Dugan. These videos I got off of YouTube. So, any of these videos you can go look at. So 613, Judge Dugan was the one that was arrested. She just pleaded not guilty, I think, in the federal court there in Wisconsin. So let's look at what she did. If you're not sure who Judge Dugan is, why not? Where have you been? She's the one that had an illegal who was beating his wife there for domestic violence crimes against his wife or somebody else in court. She found out, the judge found out ICE was there to arrest him on a warrant or something like that. And she blocked ICE from collecting on the way out the court. So she took the guy, this criminal, and gave him an exit out her door, her private door out onto the street. That's illegal. She thinks she's the king or the queen of the world of the United States because she has a title in front of her name. Judge. Judges can't do that. They can break the law just as easy as anyone else. So let's look at this video real quick of the judge. And
a federal grand jury has indicted that Milwaukee County judge, and this was making huge headlines in recent days. FBI agents arrested that judge for allegedly helping a man sneak out and escape immigration authorities. Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan faces 2 charges of carrying a maximum penalty of 6 years in prison and a $350,000 fine. Prosecutors say Judge Dugan helped an illegal immigrant and his lawyer out of her courtroom through a back jury door last month after learning that ICE agents were in the courthouse there to arrest him. This is egregious. Your reaction to maybe moving forward now with this?
You know, this is an example of rules for thee and not for me. And this is what the American people are sick of. 2 tiers of justice, people taking their liberal ideology to the next level, thinking that laws don't apply to them, thinking they know better than the rule of law. And look, there are consequences for this, and we're going to see that play out, and that's exactly what should happen.
Senator Katie Britt, a pleasure to have you in focus today. Thank you.
Bam! You know, I was a marshal and sheriff in San Diego. I did some time in the courts, and you know what? One of the reasons I left law enforcement because I didn't think the judicial system, and this is in 2001, was working right, was working appropriately, and I was arresting kids, you know, in their teens and so forth, juveniles, I guess is a better word to say it, from anywhere from maybe 8 to 21 or 22. I know 18 is like adult and so forth, but still they're kind of young. I was arresting the kids of the kids I arrested when I started working there. It's a vicious circle. It's just a family tradition. I'm a bad guy. You're a bad guy. Go commit crime because I committed crime. We're all the same. It was a vicious circle. And in the courts, I worked in various courts throughout San Diego, from divorce court to traffic court to felony court, municipal court, traffic court. I've worked pretty much anywhere in all the different courts in my 16 years, 10 months there, roughly. So just under 17 years. And you know what? Some of the judges were, I hate to say it, there's going to be a short video here, and you're going to hear it from me and someone else, that judges think they own this. In fact, the Supreme Court said it the other day, I think. Some of the justices said it yesterday or the day before, that some judges think they are kings. Their little courtroom is their fiefdom, and their whatever goes, whatever they say in that courtroom, that's their domain, and they can do whatever they want. That's not true. They're still going to be held accountable. Just like if I decided to break somebody out of the jail for whatever reason, because they're paying me money, or I fell in love with this chick or whatever. I never did that. And San Diego, I don't think guys, when I was there, I don't think San Diego Sheriff, we allowed people or guys to work in the women's facility. So I'm pretty sure that was true. So with that said, you know what? It's crazy like that, right? Judges think they own the world, and they don't. They're just like anybody else, just a citizen. So we're going to look at this next video real quick, and we're going to see what AOC had to say about this. I think she said this 2 days or 3 days ago. It's like, okay, well, if you don't agree, if this happens, what are you going to do? And you can hear it's like a threat with no consequences on the end. She doesn't really give clear consequences. But if these representatives are touched, we're going to do something about it. And out of her own words, let's roll the tape.
Well, 3 House Democrats, Jillian, face potential disciplinary action in Congress and potential criminal charges from the feds after this scuffle outside an ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey on Friday. DHS says arrests are still on the table. For more on this, let's dig deeper with Tricia McLaughlin. She is the Public Affairs Assistant Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. Welcome to America Reports in person.
Thank you for having me.
It's nice to see you in person.
It's great to be in person with you both.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has deemed it necessary for her to interject herself in an issue that would seem to have nothing to do with her district. And she's warning y'all, don't mess with the Democrat members of Congress. Listen to what she said.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Well, the problem would seem to be that those people may have been laying fingers or at least body slamming federal agents who were there. What do you say to the good Congress?
And this is where I interject. Where does she come out of that? What are you going to do, AOC? They broke the law. They were inserting justice. They have a right to free speech per the First Amendment to redress their government, but not to start basically what you saw right there in the beginning, pushing and shoving and so forth of ICE people. The lady, I'm not sure which one that was as far as their name. I think that was LaMonica McIver. But you can't push and shove ICE officers. They're federal agents, they're federal officers, police officers sworn. It's against the law. That's an assault and a battery on a police officer. Depending on how enforced it is, it's at least a misdemeanor, and maybe in some areas it might be actually a slight felony or a low felony charge for assaulting and touching and battering police officers. I have a second video that's going to show a little bit more here of the actual pushing and shoving, and you'll see that congresswoman in that red and white outfit, she pushed and she raised her hand. In fact, I think you even see her swing her arm like that a couple times. Those are threats. She should be arrested. She should be charged. Maybe it's a misdemeanor. Maybe it's just a citation, a booking, handcuffed and released. Kind of probably what happened to the mayor. He got booked too, handcuffed and released. All right. So crazy, silly. Let me see. I'm going to let that run just a few seconds longer because I think there's a little content on the end of that I wanted you to see. So here we go.
Congresswoman?
I'd like to ask AOC, who does she want out of that detention facility? Is it the MS13 members? Is it the known terrorists? Is it the child rapists? Is it the murderers? Who is she fighting for? Because she's not fighting for Americans. She's not fighting for American victims. And I'd like to lay out the facts. The fact that it was these 3 members of Congress who trespassed, broke the law, and stormed that ICE detention facility. They put law enforcement at risk. They put our detainees at risk. And they put our staff at risk. Had they asked for a tour, we would have happily facilitated one for them, but there was absolutely no notice. And the fact that they put hands, they body slammed, body rammed, push, shove, whatever you want to call it, it was assault on our ICE agents, and it's unacceptable.
And she is right. It is unacceptable. It's against the law, right? Where is no one's above the law that the Democrats say on every 5 minute basis? No one is above the law. I played freaking, almost a minute and a half of no one's above the law on the front of this whole video. No one's above the law. No one's above the law. They think they are because nobody else has ever held them accountable for the decisions they make. That was a riot. They should be charged for that. They should be charged for any kind of touching or pushing or abusiveness that they did against those agents. Locking arms together and resisting that, screaming and yelling, depending on what and how they say things, can also be a threat used against them in a court of law. So AOC, I don't know what she's threatening she's going to do, but let's cut to the next video, and I think that's going to be Tom Homan. He's going to give a real quick, brief discussion about the incident too. He's going to hit some high points, low points. We're not going to watch the whole thing. But anyway, I want you to see a little bit about this. And on the end of this video, there's a section with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the guy that the whole the whole country, all the Democrats have been going crazy about deported. He's from the Maryland. He's got a family. We don't know if he's got a gang tattoo on his finger. He's a gang member. Nobody else wears gang tattoos, because if I would put a gang member tattoo on my hand like that and they found out I was wearing a gang member tattoo, they would come after me and probably beat the out of me or even kill me for wearing that gang tattoo. That's how gangs operate, folks. And if you're not one of them, they're not going to let you wear their tattoos. They just will not let you do that. All right? It's offensive to them. You're not part of our organization. You can't be wearing that. We're going to kill you for it because you did it. So with that said, the guy is a gang member. In fact, one of the judges in court papers said, we're not returning him back because he's a gang affiliate. If we send him back to El Salvador, there's a good chance he's going to get killed. That is why he was left here. But he was smuggling. I think he was driving some kind of SUV or some kind of van. He had, I think they said, the officer said 11 people in it. I don't know if he can legally take 11 people, because maybe there's not enough seats in the car with seat belts. I don't know. But the officers, and I think where was it? It was in Tennessee. There's video of it. The officers say, you know what? They called the FBI or somebody or ICE or somebody. They said, let them go. That guy should have been arrested. He had $1,500 in his pocket in an envelope. That's not how people carry $1,500. You don't necessarily put it in your pocket. You're not driving across the country with $1,100 or $1,500 in your pocket, 11 people in your car. That doesn't happen in real life, right? So all this stuff adds up. People, if you can't see through the BS of the Communist Party that's running the Democratic Party, I'm sorry, you've lost it. You're in some other world. You need to stop smoking the marijuana and taking the dope. You might think it's medicinal purposes you're taking it, but it's not. It's destroying your brain and your clear thoughts. So here's Tom Homan. Let's listen to him real quick and get his piece on this puzzle. And I think he's right here.
Straight to Border Czar Tom Homan. Tom, thank you so much for being here. You know, just watching that body cam video, absolutely incredible to see that went down. And before we get to it, I'd like you to also hear what the Newark mayor had to say also in his defense.
We ask them to obey our laws, to obey the policies and rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey, not to run roughshod over the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the 4th, the 5th, the 14th Amendment, that everybody on this soil deserves due process.
Tom, he's saying they're the good guys here.
Sorry, the right to due process. You know what? There might be a Supreme Court order that says everybody in the country, regardless of citizenship, because there's no specific law in place, is under the Constitution of the United States. Well, I would tell Congress to create a bill, for one, saying that the 14th Amendment, which Raz Baraka just talked about, talks about citizenship, but it was written because of the Civil War and the people, the children of slaves. There hasn't been a slave in this country, at least a legalized slave, as we've had it in the South as compared to the North back before the Civil War. There hasn't been a slave like that since 1864, I think, when the Civil War ended. All right. Are there slaves in this country? Indentured service in this country? I would say yes. All right. There are people that were brought across our border illegally, men, women, children, who are in a slave trade, and they are forced into doing that because of some amount of money they are owing to the people that got them here. And until that amount's paid off, or if they stay alive, or if they can escape and find a way away, it might end. But there probably are quite a few of those people in this country that we just don't have any idea about, that are in some kind of slavery, right? But it's not a slavery that's propagated by the government like it was by the South before the Civil War. So with that said, there is slavery in the United States, but not the kind of slavery we're talking about that the 14th Amendment was created for. So any children that were born here in the United States became naturalized citizens after the Civil War. That's what the 14th Amendment is about. There's no other country in the world that a woman who is pregnant can go to that country, have a baby, and that baby becomes a citizen of that country. No other country in the whole world. Why are we the only different? We are the third largest populated country in the world. We're behind China, which I think is somewhere around 2.5 to 3 billion people. We're behind India. That's about 1.5 billion people. We're number 3 at 350 million or somewhere close to that by now. All right, so we're the third largest populated country in the world. All right. Why at this point we're not in an expansion across the country? We don't need extra people to fill up blank space like we needed to hold a country like we did back in those days. All right, the way you maintain a country is by having it popularized, by having people live in specific areas, by having law enforcement, by having a military that can protect borders. That's how a country becomes a country. We are way past those days of growth and expansion across from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. Those days are long gone. With a population of 330 to 50 million, we don't need people just coming into our country and becoming citizens because they bring their child here, or they have their child here because they decided to come on vacation while they're pregnant and the baby is born here. We don't need that anymore. All right? So why don't we become like the rest of the world and have Congress create a law that says that nobody can become a citizen unless they are born here from a naturalized citizen of the states. Meaning, if at least one of the parents is a naturalized U.S. citizen, they are living here, but maybe the other one's from a foreign country, Mexico, Canada, Soviet Union doesn't exist, Russia, Afghanistan, it doesn't matter where they're from, as long as one is a U.S. citizen, then that kid, it becomes a U.S. citizen, right? If they're born here. Or if they're born in another country, that might be a way too for that child to become a U.S. citizen, even if they're born in another country, but because one citizen is an American, you can apply for it, all right? Depending on where you're residing. If you're residing there, maybe we don't want them to become a U.S. citizen because they're going to stay over there. But at least they can have an option or apply for it. I think we need to create a law just like that, that takes over what the 14th Amendment was meant to do. So Roz, he's a little misguided on his own as far as that goes. Search and seizure, the Fourth Amendment, I don't know what that has to do anything with that. A seizure of a person that's here illegally, it can happen anywhere. I don't know if the Fourth Amendment applies in that situation. We're not looking for evidence of anything. We already know that this person is, at least what ICE has been doing from what I understand, they're going after known people. Known people. So they're not walking up and down the streets with a bunch of ICE people. Oh, that looks like an illegal alien. Scooping them up. Let me see your ID. Are you illegal or not? They're not doing that. All right? They are not doing that. These are known people to them. All right? They've either had a court hearing or they're in some kind of federal database or international database showing that they are criminals of some type or gang members of some type, or they've had some kind of court case here in the States where they've been convicted of something. So those are the people we're talking about. We're not just talking about some kid walking down the street or a kid going to the college or university that's here on a visa. They're not getting stopped by ICE. That's ridiculous. All right. So with that said, let's finish up with Tom here a little bit. I'm going to let this run just a tad bit farther. And then we're going to talk about Kilmar Abrego. He is on this same video towards the end a little bit. So here we go.
Well, look, he's not very smart. I mean, bottom line is, that's what this facility is all about. This facility is about due process. This facility is where we put illegal aliens. People in the country illegally, first of all, if you're in the country illegally being detained. And they're screaming and yelling about due process, and all this in the Constitution. This is where due process happens. We have to detain them to go through the due process of, sometimes seeing a judge, sometimes they already have final orders. It's ranging removal to their countries, they're getting travel documents to their countries, and making sure all the administrative processes are followed. So this is exactly what the facility means. And I'll tell you this, I can guarantee you this facility has higher detention standards than any New Jersey facility. This facility has highest detention standards in the industry. You compare that to any jail in New Jersey, and you'd be shocked how high these detention standards are.
So boom. And you know what? I think I had a video here. Where is it? Yeah, I have a video coming up here in a couple of minutes that we have not one of mine, I wish it was one of mine, a reporter from, I think it was Fox News, that actually took a tour of that same detention facility after this whole incident occurred this last week. And I'm looking at her as she's walking through, and I'm saying, that's a detention facility? Maybe I want to move in. Maybe I want to move in there because it doesn't look that bad. Working some of the jails in San Diego where I worked and holding tanks and that kind of stuff, they are lucky to be where they are. And some of the ones I've heard, like down in Georgia, where they lock up some people, the Department of Justice has gone after the county or the city or whatever to clean that place up, and it's just a mess. How do they get away with that? Same with I heard from the one in Washington, D.C., where they were locking up all the January 6 people. It was a mess, and they're locking up Americans in these things, American citizens, as opposed to foreigners. That jail that's down in El Salvador, where they're sending all these illegals, where Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia is. Some of the photos and pictures I've seen there, it is very stringent there as far as them. But you can look inside that I would call it a house area where it's totally walled off, and all the prisoners are in that back area. I don't know if they're living in peace. I'm sure there's a hierarchy in there, but it was clean. They looked clean. Their heads were shaved. Maybe they chose not to wear shirts or whatever, or they're not giving them shirts. I don't know, but it was clean, and they were clean, and it didn't look bad. Didn't look too bad. I wouldn't want to be in there myself as a police officer because I would not do too well. But with that said, Holman's right. This place is going to look not so bad. All right, so let's look at this Kilmar Abrego piece right here, and I'm going to start that up for you. Here we go.
ABC reported this week that the DOJ is investigating the 2022 traffic stop of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Apparently, he's accused of acting as a taxi service for a convicted felon transporting illegal migrants across the United States. Are you familiar with that report, and what are the next steps for the administration in this case?
Well, look, it's being totally investigated by HSI and FBI, but when you talk about trafficking, who is he trafficking, right? We need to see, is he trafficking just illegal labor? Or is he trafficking people that are being forced labor? Is he trafficking women and children who are being sex slavery? I mean, is he trafficking on known suspected terrorists? We don't know. That's why we're going to investigate this. We know he's involved. We got to find out exactly what organization he was involved with. We know he's associated with the TDA, but when it comes to trafficking, they can traffic anybody from some illegal alien looking for a better life to an unknown terrorist that's come to this country to do us harm. That's why this needs to be investigated right to the fullest extent.
Tom Homan, we appreciate so much you being with us on this Saturday morning. Thank you. Good to see you.
A taxi driver? No, he's not a taxi driver. He's smuggling people. If you said, hey, if you asked him, who's that guy sitting next to you? Oh, his name's Chewy. What's his last name? I don't know. Where is he from? I don't know. How many kids does he have? I don't know. Is he married? I don't know. He's not a taxi driver, dude. I don't know where she got that comment from. Is he a taxi driver? He's a human trafficker. He's a smuggler. He's bringing people illegally. It looks like he probably got paid $1,500 to bring those people. It's probably not his car. I'm pretty sure about that. It's probably a rental vehicle of some type or a stolen vehicle. Well, if it was stolen, they probably would have arrested him. But anyway, they detained him. They stopped him for whatever reason. I don't know what the stop was for. But all you have to do is listen to the cops, listen to the video. It's probably on YouTube. You could probably find it yourself. Just look up this guy's name, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. His traffic stop, you'll probably find it online. I didn't look for it, but it's probably there. All right, so again, the Democrats, this is Biden. I think on that video, they had said they called the FBI or they called HSS or DHS or some federal agency, and they said, let them go. We don't care. Just let them go. That's the Biden administration, because they're flying people in from the world. Fly a jet into Africa, fly a jet to South America, fly a jet wherever, and in the middle of the night, they're flying them back into our country, landing at airports, letting them off, and just walking to the public. No, they're not. Yes, they were. They were doing that. Yes, people, wake up. You need to know what's going on around you. Not are they just rushing across the border, they're flying them in. You could actually, I think at the time, get online and apply for air transportation from one of these countries into the U.S. I don't know what the requirements were. I don't know what the website looked like, but I heard there was a website they could go to and apply for the flight, to get on the flight to come to the United States. All right, so let's look at, my next video is going to look at the outside of the, where this incident happened. And you're going to actually see it. This one doesn't have, it has no music. It doesn't have anybody really monitoring over the top of it. It's got a group of people. Let me see. Oh, you can see right there. A group of people, as you can see right there. I might, I don't know, leave myself on here. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit so you can hear what's going on. We'll see how this works. But I wanted to make comments, so I'm going to, well, yeah, I'll just leave it up. And I'll stop the video and hopefully show the mouse. Yeah, you can see it on the screen. Show the mouse on what I think is what's going on at certain points. So here we go. We're going to watch this, and I'll try to make comments as we go. I'm going to take myself off the screen, and I'm going to turn my volume off and pop it back on. Probably stop the video when I need to. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to talk real quick. This is the lady that, the congresswoman. I'm not sure which one she is. I have a feeling that's LaMonica McIver. Hopefully I'm right. But that's the one that's going to be pushing one of the officers. You'll see here in a moment. The guy in the black hat, I believe, is Ross Baraka, the mayor. This person right here is the other congresswoman. I think that's Bonnie Watson-Coleman, if I'm not mistaken. Where's Bob? Oh, the guy in the New Jersey hat right over here. That is Rob Menendez. All right, the other person. Why is he wearing a mask? I have no idea. Kind of weird. And then you're going to see what you see is some police officers like this guy. You can see HSI. He's got police and stuff. This guy's got a vest on. He's police. I think this guy, you're going to see him kind of as they enter the fence, because they're trying to make their way into this area right here. The police trying to take the congresswoman and the mayor back there. I think this guy is actually a police officer. I'm not sure if he's there with the mayor or who he's with, but he's some kind of person, because he ends up in the back area too after talking to somebody else with a jacket on that looks like he might be a supervisor of some type. Same with this guy. You can see the earpiece on. He's probably some kind of police officer as well. I think he ends up in the back as well. But I don't think he's necessarily working with HSS or the security from the prison. With that said, all right, so we're going to run it. I'll stop it once in a while just to talk about things that I see. And you're going to see where the people are kind of interlocking their arms together with each other. This guy, I'm not sure who he is, but he is the most vocal. You're going to hear a lot out of him initially about holding me or touching me and that kind of stuff. So here we go. So you can see this guy right here, the long hair, he's holding and trying to lock arms with this guy. This officer is going to try to push in because they're trying to separate this little group and bring him in through a gate over here on this far side. So eventually when they get the arms busted away, you'll see him go. This guy in the green back here, he's very physical at times. You'll see him more towards the end of the video. I'm going to stop at about 1 minute and 25 seconds. But you're going to see him kind of pushing and shoving quite a bit. And there's one other guy somewhere in here. I don't think I see him right now. But he's going to be pushing and shoving quite a bit. And then you'll see this congresswoman pushing and shoving an officer as they're moving towards the gate over there. Here we go. And I think you'll actually see her arm like she's, I don't know, waving it up and down like she's trying to punch or hit something. But anyway, I don't know what that was about. But here we go.
Get off of me! Get your hands off of me! Get your hands off of me! I'm not letting I'm not letting you cannot push you cannot push you cannot All right, I'm going to stop it right there. I'll probably give you a little double sound there because I had the mic open at the time. So you can see the guy in the green, he was pushing up. There was another lady or somebody that was over in this corner that was pushing too. They should have been arrested. That's physical contact with a police officer. They have no right to be there. They should have been detained and put in prison, at least given a citation to. You'll see a couple of those. These are the two guys I was just talking about. They were talking to this guy that's behind this guy in the hat over here because they were denied entry, but now they're going in. They look like they're dressed like they're some kind of police officers or something to me. So they're going in eventually through the gate, and so I'm just going to stop it right there. But you can kind of see the force as they were coming to the gate right here. You can see where she, don't recall which one she is. She was pushing on a officer right in this area somewhere in here, where she was pushing up against him and kind of belly bumping him and stuff, almost like she did not want to go that way or something like that. But anyway, it speaks for itself. There's that video. We're going to jump to the next one. And so this is the one that actually deals with the, pop it up here, with the ICE facility a little bit. You're going to see a little repeat of the video. You'll probably see the congresswoman in the red and white pushing up a little bit better, I think, in this one. That's why I'm going to show you the beginning. And then we might skip back to the jail tour, I think. So here we go. All right.
All right, so New Jersey Democrats are defending their actions of storming Newark ICE facility on Friday that ultimately resulted.
Right here, you're going to see her pushing this guy right here. You're going to see it pretty clear, and I think you're going to see her arm almost like she's trying to swing or punch at something. Not exactly what that is, but here it goes. And I'm going to let it play for a little bit, so here we go again.
And the arrest of the city's mayor.
Madeline Rivera joins us with more from Washington. Hey, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. DHS says more arrests could be coming as they accuse 3 Democratic members of Congress of assaulting federal agents at an ICE facility in Newark. The lawmakers say it's the agents that escalated the situation.
People just are afraid of this un-American hyperactivity, this weaponization of law enforcement, and the consistent lying.
They made this a violent scene that we were unfortunately all a part of, and it's something that should really shock all Americans.
The lawmakers say they wanted to conduct an oversight visit at the ICE facility when a scuffle broke out with federal agents. DHS is pointing to this video that they say shows at least one representative, LaMonica McIver, in the red, shoving her way past a DHS agent. They say she body slammed the officer, an accusation McIver rejects.
There's no video that supports me body slamming anyone. We were simply there to do our job, therefore oversight visit.
DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin responded this morning.
body slamming, body ramming, striking an officer, pushing, shoving, whatever you want to call it. It sure looks like assault. People should watch that and decide for themselves. There's no place for that, especially members of Congress. It is so beneath them to be treating law enforcement like this.
Meantime, Newark's Mayor Ras Baraka, who's running for New Jersey governor, is facing trespassing charges for allegedly ignoring warnings to leave the property. Baraka argues he was on public property when he was detained. The lawmakers were eventually able to tour the ICE facility after the confrontation. McLaughlin says the situation could have been avoided had the members of Congress followed protocol and given 24 hours notice ahead of their visit. Lawrence Ainsley and Brian.
Okay.
Boom. So there you have it. I don't think that was right, Yeah, they should have given notice, but this was not meant for that. They could have had a nice little tour, showed up, and then had a little press conference at the end, announced it the day before, hey, the four of us, we're all going to go tomorrow to here, and we're going to do a little inspection. Maybe we can bring somebody from the news media with us inside and tour through and so forth, and then we'll have a little press conference at the end from what they saw and heard and whatever of the conditions and whatever's going on inside. Well, I'm going to show you in a second the conditions of this jail. It's pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a jail quite this clean, to be honest with you. So not that it's always that way, because, as it's used, over time it starts to get deteriorated a little bit, but maybe not these types of federal facilities. Maybe because of whatever coding there is, they have to keep them clean and so forth. One of the comments Ras Baraka says is, they're not licensed, they're not permitted, and they're holding illegals and children inside. That's all a bunch of bunk. They have to be licensed and permitted and have everything in place before they open up the facility. From what I'm told, this is a private facility, not run by any governmental agency. So with that said, all those permits have to be in before the government can actually move in, by the county, by the state, by the feds, whoever they need to get the permitting from. It's all done before any of this happens. So again, the Democrats are lying to you, folks. Stop listening to the lies. Settle down, take a deep breath, do your investigation. That's why this is called The Truth is Simple. Go out and investigate and find the information for yourself. I hope some of you actually do that and come back and debate me a little bit on this. To date, I put out maybe 45, 50 videos, and nobody's ever challenged me or said anything back to me. Hopefully you'll be the first. Come back and let's have a conversation. I'm going to jump forward a little bit on this one because we're going to go into Rachel Campos Duffy, who takes a jail tour for Fox News, and it looks like it starts right about here. So we're going to start it right there. It might be a little early on you, but here we go. All right, I'm going to turn off my audio.
Ainsley, Lawrence, and Brian. Yes, I'm right here. I got dressed, Brian.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you.
And I came over to the ICE detention facility. And listen, I received the tour that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a representative out of New York, is going to receive in just a few hours from now. And this is what I saw. ICE has nothing to hide. They have nothing to be ashamed of. This facility is so clean. It has, all kinds of recreation facilities, outdoor soccer fields, weight equipment, domino tables. It also has telephones everywhere with signs next to them of how they can, the phone numbers to reach their consulates. It also has legal facilities, computer webcams. Their doors on the bedrooms, on the places where they sleep, aren't even locked. The facility is actually looks like a high school. Actually looks better than a lot of high schools, and a lot of our own prisons for American citizens could take a lesson from this facility. In fact, the director of ICE, who took me around, he told me, Todd Lyons told me, that they can't even contract with state and local prisons and facilities. They have to use private facilities because their standards are so high, and it's just too expensive for them to retrofit their facilities to put the ICE detainees. And so that's the lowdown on that. Here's a clip of him telling me the kind of person that comes into this facility. You can't come here, you guys, just because you crossed the border illegally. You have to have committed another crime. Listen. The person who ends up in this facility is not just that they crossed the border illegally. No. You've had to have done more than that, correct?
Right. So currently today, as we're walking through here today, there's 152 detainees. 75% of those have committed crimes, been convicted of crime, or have pending criminal charges. So
what kind of crimes are we talking about?
Unfortunately, it runs the whole gamut. More than 75% of the people that are here are felons. Bad people you don't want in your neighborhood.
Yeah, guys, more proof that, Democrats just love to defend the worst kind of illegal immigrants. So these are rapists, murderers, people accused of burglary and other felonies. Here's another thing that I found really interesting. Everywhere you go, in Spanish and English, there are signs up that say, do you want to go home? ¿Quieres ir a tu casa? And it gives you a phone number that you can call to self-deport. Or you can also just tell somebody in the facility, hey, I'm ready to be done with this. I just want to go home to my country. If you do that, the American government through ICE will arrange within 48 hours a free flight and $1,000 so you can get out. So the idea that they are here with no agency, that they are being, detained with no choices, that's not true. They have a choice to self-deport, and they make it really easy.
Rachel, I'm just curious, and this is the director for all of ICE in the country, and I know you were there touring this facility. But how does the director feel about the Democrats defending the criminals that are in that facility that you were in and not defending the people that they're victimizing on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, absolutely. And we had that conversation. We also talked about why they're not out defending or standing up for and looking into oversight at our own prisons for our own American citizens. I know I talked to Representative Claudia Tenney on Fox and Friends Weekend, and she told me the conditions are deplorable in her state of New York for prisoners. So I'm not sure about that. I'll tell you what I thought, and this will ring true with you as well, Lawrence, because you were there in Uvalde. Uvalde, Texas was home to a detention center for unaccompanied minors. And I could not get in there. The mayor couldn't get in there. Members of Congress had difficulty getting in there. They didn't care about the most vulnerable people who come over the border. And they didn't ask for DNA tests. By the way, Democrats didn't for those vulnerable children who came across the border. But they're outside of this facility, making a ruckus, causing trouble, assaulting police officers for what? For rapists, murderers, and other criminals.
It's ridiculous.
Okay,
Great job, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks for getting up early and going out there.
Okay, so there you have it. I know, Fox News, so they're biased, right? You walk through, and I remember that Uvalde, Texas place. There actually were a couple senators, I think, that got in there, and this was back in 2020, I think, or 2021, early 2021, when Biden was in office. And that facility got closed because at a certain point, there were so many kids locked up in there. They were overcrowded. This broke out to the news. If you remember, go back and look at it. You could probably find something on YouTube about it if it didn't get deleted for propaganda or whatever, disinformation or something like that by the Biden administration and YouTube at that time. But I remember that very clear. And even so, then the Democrats did not go down there to try to rescue or help any of those kids when Biden was president. But here they are trying to protect all these criminals that are in our country, led in by Biden and Kamala and all these Democrats that are sitting in the House and Senate that are still not doing their job protecting the citizens of the country. I mean, that's right in their oath, protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Hello, these are foreign terrorists. These are foreign criminals. They are not protecting their citizens. They're not protecting our country. They should be removed from office just on that basis alone. These three, I would say, kick them out of Congress. They're not doing their job. Same as all the other Democrats. Sorry, I know it hurts. It hurts. I was a Democrat. I was many years ago. We had Jimmy Carter in office when I chose my political party. My parents were Democrats. They had always been Democrats. But I chose Republican after I moved and Reagan was the president because he changed it, started to change our country and make it better for everyone. Everyone. That's what Trump's trying to do. If you have Trump derangement syndrome, because you've been watching TikTok, you've been on YouTube, you've been on Facebook, and all you do is socialize and listen to all these political organizations. If you're in a college or a university and you're being brainwashed because unless you think and do as your teacher tells you, you're going to get an F in the class. If that is you, I am sorry you went through all that in your life. The truth does hurt sometimes. And this is the truth, folks. Biden would not let anybody into that prison in Uvalde. Nobody. Nobody. I remember that. He was blocking it. Same with any other facility. They blocked all that stuff so you couldn't see it. So they could do whatever they wanted to do and you couldn't know it. The people locked in January 6th that were locked up in D.C., that prison, from what I have heard, is abominable. There's a prison in, like I said, I think I said in Georgia. Same thing. It's abominable. In part, the Department of Justice, I think the Biden Department of Justice said, you need to fix this place. You can't keep people here. It's inhumane. And they've done nothing to fix it, even under the Biden administration at that point. From what I heard. I could be wrong. But with that said, let's jump on to what a couple Democrats have to say. What? Democrats? Yeah, Democrats. Why not? In fact, we're going to listen to Tucker Carlson first. Tucker Carlson. This is pretty old. This was when he was still with Fox, believe it or not. He hits a couple areas that talks about no one's above the law. And he hits another area, which was what? I can't remember, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. And it'll come back to my mind once I show it to you. So let me bring that up, Tucker. Here he is, coming up right here. I think I got it marked in the right spot. And without further ado, here we go.
We must be clear. No one, not even the president, is above the law.
Got that? No one is above the law. Explain the very same people who spent all day making excuses for illegitimate government spying on American citizens. But never mind. Literally, no one is above the law. Watch.
No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. No one's above the law.
No one is above the law.
That no person is above the law.
Nobody should be above the law.
Nobody should be above the law, including the President of the United States.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You don't need a law degree to understand it. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. Except for the more than 20 million illegal aliens who the left tell us have every right to be here, ignoring our laws. And shut up, racist, if you disagree. Also, the so-called homeless, shooting up and defecating and living full-time on our sidewalks. The law does not apply to them, or to subway jumpers in New York, or to Hunter Biden. But other than that, absolutely nobody is above the law, meaning Trump. And that's why they're impeaching him. But they're not celebrating that fact today. No, they're not. You might think they're excited, but they're not. Democrats want to be completely clear on this question. They're extremely troubled. It has come to this. It is a sad day in Washington, a moment of poignant reflection, a moment redolent with sadness. Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and a number of other people who've never had a single authentic impulse in their entire lives would like you to know that they feel extremely, what's the word for this? Solemn about what's happening today. Seriously, solemn.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, solemn. What kind of word is that? Anyway, we're going to stop it right there because we don't need to listen to all that mushy solemnness that they have within themselves. And we're going to jump forward, and I still can't remember what this area was, but I marked it, so it must be important, right? So 420, we're almost there. 420 right here. Who is that guy? I do not know. Oh,
why is Amazon
Schumer.
60?
I don't know. I keep getting these commercials because I'm live streaming from YouTube. these videos, so they throw in the commercial as well. Let me hit mute on this one and let them jump so I can hit it to the next place. Here we go. All right, so there we're at the end of that one. Let me hit pause, bring on the sound. Hit skip, pop it back up.
Today's was Chuck Schumer, the professional Wall Street shill who lies for a living, going onto the Senate floor and accusing us, this network, and brace yourself here for a hot blast of irony, accusing Fox News of being dishonest. For real, watch.
The president conjures fictions, buys into baseless conspiracy theories told by known liars on Fox News or somewhere else. Here in the Senate, certain members of the grand old party are forming their own conspiracy caucus. Any crazy conspiracy, whether launched by Putin or some wild-eyed, crazy conspiracy theorist who manages, of course, all the time to get on Fox News and have his story or her story repeated.
All right, sorry to know what this part is about. Every time the Democrats convict or say, the Republicans are doing this or they're about to do that or whatever, they're the cause of everything, all of our upheavals and everything. Every time they say that stuff, it's exactly what they're doing themselves. I'm taking Tucker's cheese right here, but I don't show it in a second. It's the same thing. I don't know if I've ever heard a Democrat tell the truth. I just don't know. At least in the last 25 years, I don't know if I've ever heard them speak the truth. It's always politicized. It's always has to meet whatever is on their agenda. To them, a lie becomes a truth. If you say it long enough, and I use this probably on my first 2 or 3 videos. Go back to my first season, look at video probably 2 or 3, and you're going to hear this. If you tell somebody often enough, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, you keep telling it over and over, and they, over time, tend to believe it as being true. It sinks in, it becomes part of who and what they are. So the more they say this stuff, the more they do this stuff, the more TV stations they put it on, the more radio stations they put it on, the more they get coordinate, and each of them says it throughout the day on all these different fruit that gets out to all of us, the more believable it becomes. Right? It does. It's called brainwashing. And that's why so many of you out there, you don't necessarily need to be a Democrat. Maybe you're independent and you lean more to the left and you tend to believe this stuff that's coming out. I'm sorry, you're being brainwashed. Maybe I'm being over brainwashed by CNN. No, CNN, I don't even watch CNN unless I'm trying to get something to use against them because it's all BS. But in Fox, as Schumer said, right? Fox is the conservative network. It was the only one that hung around for a while. Now Newsmax is out there. American, what is it? One American News. They're out there too. So you have more of these conservative news agencies coming on board. Hey, maybe I want to start my own news agency too. Video Vegas Production News Incorporated. I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But with that said, the Democrats always try to take something and say what we're doing, but they're the one that's actually doing it. They're doing it. All right? And we're just maybe trying to copy them to catch up if we do it too. So anyway, here's back to this video real quick. We're almost done with it. And then I think I got a Bill Maher video for you Democrats and a Stephen A. Smith to finish us up. Here we go.
It's just such a shame that Sigmund Freud has fallen out of favor. They're attacking him on the college campuses as a sexist. We need Sigmund Freud today because without Freud, it's hard to recognize what's going on. But here it is, distilled to its essence. Write this down, put it on your fridge. It's the best guide to politics ever. What the left accuses you of doing is precisely what they're doing themselves. They accuse you of fostering racism. Pushing conspiracy theories, lying to the American people. It's almost hard to finish the sentence. Of course, those are the 3 main things they're doing. And impeachment proves the point once more. The first article of impeachment accuses the president of, quote, abuse of power for, quote, soliciting the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, in the 2020 United States presidential election, end quote. So just so you understand, House Democrats are arguing here that there was no meddling in American politics when a Ukrainian energy company hired the otherwise unemployable son of a sitting vice president at an exorbitant rate for no work at the very moment his father was policing, quote, anti-corruption efforts in their country. There's nothing political about that. And if you think otherwise, you believe in a conspiracy theory, a debunked conspiracy theory, a theory so debunked, in fact, that the president committed a literally impeachable offense simply by asking about it. That's right. And you know what else wasn't at all an abuse of power, but really the opposite of an abuse of power? When the last president, President Obama, killed a U.S. citizen without a trial using drone strikes. Not an abuse of power. Are you kidding? That's another debunked conspiracy theory. Or when he had the FBI investigate a rival presidential campaign based on an obviously fraudulent dossier of opposition research written by a foreigner using intel from the Russian government. That was not an abuse of power. What? You're crazy. What, do you work for Fox News or something?
All right, that's enough. He gets on his high horse and he's right. But did you remember that where Obama actually killed an American citizen with a drone? That's illegal. You cannot do that. That guy should have had a trial, been arrested and had a trial. I think it was over somewhere in Afghanistan or some foreign country, but still taking out an American citizen. He was never charged for that. He's above the law, right? Obama? Yeah, sure. Why not? All right, so let's see what Bill Maher has to talk about what's going on with the Democratic Party. He's been coming out more and more often about the wrong direction the Democrats are moving. And if they ever want to get back into power, and hopefully, Lord, they never do get back in power, at least the way they're constituted. If they ever come back as the real Democratic Party that it was actually created to be, hey, even I might jump across the water and back on the Democratic Party. But because of who and what they are, or maybe I'll become a Democrat because that's the only way we're going to fix the Democratic Party, is if people like me who say, enough is enough, I love the Democratic Party, but even as a Republican, I need to go fix that party because America needs to be fixed. And until we can fix that party, we're going to be screwed up because we're going to be continually in a civil war. Luckily, it hasn't gone to weapons, us fighting with guns and weapons. Although it seems with like all the leftist stuff, the 2 assassination attempts on Trump, you know, some of the other stuff that's happening with some of these shootings in these schools, which are left-oriented, not right-oriented, as we've been told or led to believe. They always block the left stuff. Don't tell us and let us know what's going on with their leftists. Oh, this guy had nothing to do with it, just like Crooks, Matthew Crooks, who took a shot at Trump, hit him in the ear at the first place in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania. Just like that. Where's the information on this guy? Where's the information? The Congress did their report, their investigation. All they did was slap the Secret Service on the hand. You guys didn't do this. You should have did this, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, if it was a setup, there's a reason why they didn't do it. Who is Crooks? Where's the information about Crooks? What about his parents? How did he get to this part of his life where he's a high school kid working a job, going to school? How did he get from that to all of a sudden wanting to shoot and kill the president? How does he get into that location? Being detected, but nobody taking action. How do they have him knowing he's there on the roof, and yet Trump walks on stage and nobody keeps Trump off the stage? How does this all happen? Hello? It doesn't happen by just because of it, happy-go-lucky, it just happened by chance. It doesn't happen that way. You need to find out who this Crooks kid is and who brought him along. Who set up these back area things? Was it somebody in the Secret Service at the higher levels? Was it the Biden administration? Was it somebody in the FBI, the NSA, the Department of Justice? Maybe they were all linked together, working at some limitedness together to do this assassination. And I really think that's what happened. just like they brought out the information for the shooting of President Kennedy in 1962, right? Or 64, when he was shot, assassinated in Texas. Just like that. Where's the real information? There's still some stuff missing. So anyway, let's jump to Bill Maher on this video. Where are you, Bill? And I think I have them set up. So this is another Fox News. They're talking about, I don't know who this guy is, but one of the newscasters here, New Jersey House Dems assault ICE agents or whatever. But with that said, let's jump over here to the video. You can't actually see it right now, but let's bring it up. And he's going to talk about Bill Maher right here a little bit, or Bill Maher is going to speak a little bit.
He was talking about Hamas, the anti-Israel protests. Let me just play a little bit about what he said in terms of the Democrats seeming to be going down the wrong road here. Listen to this.
Here is the dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries. At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is.
I mean, Bill Maher is a Democrat. You were there with him, but he does seem to be the voice of reason in that party these days.
No question, and he was 100% correct when he said it on air the other day, and I couldn't agree with him more. The fact is, you don't see them marching in the streets or storming buildings in support of Laken Riley, who was murdered by an illegal immigrant, or for Edon Alexander, who is now rescued from captivity. You see them supporting the actions of terrorists. And it really is disturbing on so many levels. The fact is they are fighting for the rights of individuals who have committed heinous, violent acts against American citizens. And, you know, this has been a challenge we've seen across the country in which, frankly, the rights of criminals have been put ahead of the rights of victims.
The rights of criminals have been put ahead of the rights of victims, and that's so true. The Democratic Party, when was the last time they actually came and said something nice to an American citizen, did something nice for an American citizen? The 13 that lost their loved ones in the quick runaway from Afghanistan, the soldiers that were killed there. Where was Biden? Where was Kamala Harris? Where was any Democrat from the House or Senate during any of that time period? Biden checking his watch as they were brought back from Afghanistan on an airplane and having a ceremony, checking his watch as, you know, maybe it's time to get out of here. I've been here long enough. I don't really give a rat's about these people. Where was he? I mean, what's going on with that? It just is shown so clearly in who and what they are. Oh, well, I'm right here where I needed to be. I actually took it too far. But he said a good comment there. They don't care about us. Democrats don't care about you. In fact, that's what terrorists, that's what, if you look at the French Revolution, that whole I can't remember his name, Ross Perrier or whatever his name was, and a lot of those people that started the French Revolution, as the revolution continued and went on and went on and on, a lot of these people got killed by the people that they supposedly led in the beginning. They go back and they eat their own. That's what these type of people do. They go back and eat their own when the whole thing starts to fall apart. Same with the mayor in New York. Look at him. He's trying to go to the Biden administration. I need more money. I got all these people here. I got them in all this housing. The city's going broke. We can't afford to put them up. Pay for their health care. Pay for their lodging. Give them food. Give them free phones. All this stuff. And he's saying, I need help. I need help. And all of a sudden he becomes the enemy of the Biden administration and they start going after him. Somebody's strong on his side and they go after him. The same with Cuomo when he was governor. He did something wrong they didn't like, and they started to go after him. No, we don't want you in power. We're coming after you. That's what they do. They eat their own. It won't be long before possibly AOC gets eaten by her own as well. She falls out of favor. Somebody else pops up. We need to get rid of her because I'm going to take that spot. It's not going to be hers. We need to get rid of that person. Here we go. Let's get after her. Let's remove her from power. Let's put her in jail. Let's persecute her. Let's do whatever we need to do to get rid of her. That's what they do on that side. If you didn't know that, go back and look at some history. Go back and look at the French Revolution. So let's start this video back up. Bill Maher's coming back for segment 2. Makes one more comment. So I just want you to see that real quick. And here we go.
Problem. And that's something that we have seen throughout.
Alyssa Slotkin, a Democrat from Michigan, said recently that she believes that liberals are weak and woke. Bill Maher picked up on that theme. Listen to what else he said here.
If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville.
So the suggestion from him there is, very, very colorfully, is that the Democrats are just completely out of touch with the goodness of America and the way that people want to live in this country and the ideals that this country stands for.
And he's so right. They are. A lot of the stuff they take for granted here, where they can talk back to the government, where they can say these things about Trump, where they can say anything about anything. If they were in an Arab country, if they're a Christian, they're going to be persecuted. Nobody cares. It's a Muslim country. They don't care. They're just going to persecute you. You go to China, you say something about the government there, you're going to be in prison. You go to Russia right now, Americans getting locked up there. You're a spy just because you came across the border and you took a picture of the Kremlin. You're a spy. You're taking pictures because you're not taking scenic pictures. It's because you're going to send this back and you're a terrorist or you're a spy for the American government. You say things in any other country around the world except for the United States. You're probably going to be scrutinized, well, even today, because we were moving that way. The weaponization of the FBI, the Department of Justice, NSA, CIA, all these organizations, the weaponization of them by the Democratic Party, by the Democrats who are not Democrats, they are communists. Have you heard anything about the Communist Party in the United States in the last 15, 20 years? Doesn't exist. Why? Because they are the Democratic Party. The Communist Party is the Democratic Party, folks. Wake up. Smell the coffee. One last video. Let's look at Stephen A. Smith. He's been talking a lot about the left recently. Let's see if I could bring him up. And I can't remember which video I want. I think it's this one. As soon as I go live. Let's listen to Stephen A. Smith and why he may or may not run for president. All right. Let's see. I think I have it all set up. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Ready, Stephen? Spill it out, bro.
If you were to run for president, though, it would be as a Democrat or no?
If I had to run, it would be as a Democrat, but I'm not happy with the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party as presently constructed, it would pretty much need to be purged in order for me to assume that I would want to be associated with them and I would garner their support, because I don't like the way they've gone about doing a lot of things for a very, very long period of time. And I think that I don't view Donald Trump as winning the election. I view the Democrats as losing the election, as absolutely positively blowing it with some of their actions. And that's why I think that, you know, again, if somebody was to associate me with that, the party as presently constructed, where it leads so extremely left, or at least it spent the vast majority of time doing that, that is not something that I would vibe with at all. I would definitely be looking to be a game changer in that regard. If you were.
And there you have it, Stephen A. Smith. He doesn't want to leave the Democratic Party, and that's okay. No reason you should. Maybe he should hang out. Maybe he should run for president. Maybe he should give them an alternative. Just like me saying a few minutes ago, hey, maybe I should get out of the Republican Party and I should become a Democrat again. That'd be news, right? But nobody knows who the heck I am. Somebody, at least people know who he is. He's going to either be successful or eventually he's going to get eaten by the Democratic Party. One of the two is going to happen to him. He's kind of draw a line in the sand, and he's speaking out Just like everyone else that has gone against the Democratic Party that was a Democrat, they end up eventually becoming a Republican because the Democrat Party eats them alive. They try to destroy them. The only way to get away from that is to cut the line and jump ship and become part of the other party. So whether he's successful, I hope he is. I don't know if he would be a good president. I kind of doubt that he is. He's an average student. He was an average to low-level basketball player. I think a lot of his stuff, I think he's kind of wise, but at the same time, I don't think he's a very honest and real person. I think he's, my opinion, I don't know him that well. It's not like I look up and read him every day. But I think he's got his mindset on who and what he is, and it's all this way, and he's not really open to suggestion. That's just the way life is. But we'll see if he survives the Democratic Party. I think he might get eaten up. Will he beat AOC in a runoff? I hope so, because AOC is a far left communist, if you want to say that. She's a Mao Zedong, and she's a Stalin type person. She was a barista, and now she's in a position of power. I heard she got there because she applied on an application for a job. They did some interviews, and they figured, hey, she's the sharpest, she's the most photogenic, and she can be trained, and let's move this person into office. Kind of like a Barack Obama type of thing. With that said, what about his wife, Barack Obama's wife? You know what? Miss Obama, I hope she does divorce him. He's probably a piece of junk. And she's probably 10 times worse than he is, to be honest with you. She's more of an AOC than a Barack herself. So with that said, hopefully she never runs, because she would be even worse of a president. She hates America, and she probably should just jump on a ship and get the heck out of Dodge, move somewhere else in the world where she can speak her mind, maybe like a Muslim country. Good luck on that, right? Pakistan, India, it doesn't matter. She should go there and see how that works out for her. With that said, I think we're kind of done. You know what? Judge Dugan, you probably won't go to prison. You're going to get some kind of maybe penalty. I hope they charge that as a felony, so at least you lose your job. So hopefully that happens there. The detention center in Newark, why, if AOC went, why haven't we heard from her? We just had a conversation from Rachel Campos Duffy. I think she did her visit a couple days ago. She said AOC is coming in after me a couple hours from now. Where's the news on that, right? AOC says nothing. Bonnie Watson, where's the information? LaMonica McIver, Rob Mendez, you guys went on a tour. What'd you find? Where's the information? What are they doing wrong, bad, whatever? What's going on? Nothing. It's silence. Birds chirping, right? It's all bullshit. It was all BS. It was a political maneuver by the Democrats. That's all they do. They don't do stuff the right way. They should have gotten a permission. They should have let the news agencies know, hey, we're going in. In fact, we can bring one of you in with us. It should have all been set up at least 24 hours before. They'd have got in, did their little tour, but that's not what it was all about. It's all about hitting the news and making it look like the Democrats are beat up and misabused and used and all this other stuff. And then the threats from Hakeem Jeffries. I didn't show you the video, but he was also getting information about those 3 Congress people. What are you going to do if the Congress decides to take their committee positions away and fine them or discipline them in some way? And Hakeem makes threats too that he has really no answer to at the end. What are you going to do? I'm going to do something. What are you going to do? I don't know. I'm just going to do something. What are you going to do? I don't know. I'm going to do something. Okay. Just like AOC, she has no answers either. In fact, where is she? On the jail, the prison, the detention center. Where is she? I see nothing. With that said, we're done, guys. Thank you for watching this. I know it's probably really long. Hour 38 minutes, more long than I wanted it to be. But we hit a lot of areas. If you are a Democrat, if you're a Republican, send this to all your Democrat friends. Hopefully this educates them. I hope they do come back and start making comments on my vlog so I can respond. I would like to have a conversation with people. If I'm missing something here and I'm totally off base, then recreate your own and tell me how I'm off and let me see it, and we'll have a discussion about it. whatever it might be. I kind of highly doubt that's going to happen, but I'm always leaving the door open. I would like to actually go live with the show sometime in the future. What am I going to talk about next? You know what? I might talk about financial stuff. We just had the stock market just went through a crazy down and a crazy up. And we've been talked to about recession and all that stuff. You need to stop listening to all the negative news. You need to stop listening to it. And we're going to talk about maybe finances again. And everything I said in my opening video about a month and a half ago, when the stock market was crashing and all that, and the trades and the tariffs, season 3, episode 1, I think we need to have a retouch on that. Everything I kind of said is going to improve and get better. It already has. We're back where we were basically before April. So with that said, it's all BS again from the propaganda media out there. Stop listening to them. That's why I'm here. I'm going to give you the truth, and I always will. Sometimes the truth hurts. So this is Dave with The Truth is Simple, Dave Corum. We'll see you next time. Hopefully not so long between videos. This one took a little time to put together, and I'm glad it did because it let me get more content in as things kind of revealed themselves over a few days. With that said, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.